Welcome to We Geek Podcast. Today is Wednesday, July 8th, and as always, my name is Adam, and I'm joined with my buddy Logan.
Hello.
What up? Man, how's your week been?
Working, playing Batman, playing some old games. Well, not old, but picked up Tomb Raider, because you turned into like my dealer last week. You were like, hey, this is on sale. Hey, look, this is on sale. I was like, damn it, Adam, really?
Yeah, man,
I picked up Tomb Raider and played through it and pretty much kind of cleaned it out. I started playing The Last of Us Remastered. Fun fact, I never finished it on PS3. I only got about halfway. So
awesome,
I thought, okay, I'll play this. And then, I started with with Telltale's Game of Thrones, and I got like 2 episodes into that, and I'm realizing like, oh, there's only like 2 more because 5 and 6 haven't come out yet. So do I really want to keep playing these because they're awesome, or do I want to wait? And then I thought, well, I still have The Witcher to play, and I still have The Walking Dead Season 2 because it was free a couple months ago, and I thought, I have just so much crap to play.
Oh yeah, let me admit something. Creeper status for a moment. I was on PSN and I saw you were playing Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And then I saw your comment about it on Facebook, and I was like, I knew I had episode 1 and 2, and I was like, and I wanted to go buy the season, and I didn't because I was like, I've already bought 2 of them. I might as well just buy them one by one. So yeah, I went out and I bought 3 and 4, and for some reason I don't know what happened to my save. It wasn't there. I don't know if maybe I played episode 1 and then deleted it to make room and thought I could go back. I don't know, but I really enjoyed playing episode 1 again because I thought I've been away from it for so long, I might as well do it.
There you go. Yeah.
And I played episode 1 again. And what I did, because episode 1 leaves on like kind of a cliffhanger, and I won't say what happens, but I thought, okay, maybe I'll answer things differently this time, knowing what's going to happen, and I felt like a badass kind of doing certain things and saying certain things to people. I'm like, you know what, screw you, and this and that, and so it ended up the same way, surprise.
Yeah.
But this time I felt a little bit more, not like a little bitch, but yeah, man, it's such a good game, right? Like I can't wait to actually start 2, 3, and then do 4.
Yeah, no, it's awesome, and Telltale's just killed it, and I don't know. I haven't played Tales from the Borderlands. I heard
it's funny.
And that's a franchise thing for me. Like I'm just never. That's gonna have to be on sale or free at some point for me to be like, yeah, I'll totally pick this up, just because I really have no interest.
Agreed. I'm in the same page. I have no interest in it. I know that people that do enjoy it, that it's funny. That's what they said. And it's got like Troy Baker and them in it too, so that's cool. But yeah, dude, like I said, I got like you said, I got those games too. Ever since Batman came out, that's all I've been playing. And you've kind of been my Alfred or my Oracle. I'm like, okay, so I'm doing this, and I want to make sure I get all these trophies, and if I gone too far, and you're like, no, you're fine, keep playing.
How many times have I had to tell you, like, until you actually end the game at 100%, you can't go. You can always go back until you can't not do everything until you've done everything. But I know, like, you get somewhere and you're like, I feel like maybe have I gone too far? I think I've gone too far. Like, I hit that same speed bump so many times.
Well, yeah, and that's why, like, because I guess I got really confused with the Game Plus. I'm like, okay, so if I complete the story, I don't want to have to do all this extra stuff super hard.
Yeah.
And so that's where my confusion was. But now you've totally corrected me. I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to play the story. So, and that's kind of where I'm at. And I don't know, I guess I'm like 89% done with the main story and overall, because I've done pretty much everything else except for, I know there's another phase that unlocks more, we've talked about this, more bombs and stuff. So I'm excited for that, except for the bomb stuff. All the other stuff that unlocks, oh man, that last bomb fight before the one where you're down below and there's like 2 different levels.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't like that? I love that one.
I don't know how many tanks come at you. Oh, dude, I almost threw my controller through a wall. There was actually, I'll be completely honest, there was 3 different things that have been bothering me the last few days. There was that mission. There was a fighter mission where I accidentally found the room by opening. I found a door, opened it up, and bam, there was like 20 people down there.
Oh, joy.
Firefighters.
Yeah.
And there was another one. I forgot which one it was. What kind? I think it was the one where it's like a certain area is patrolled off, and until you destroy the walkie-talkie, it goes down. There was a super hard one. It was basically the last three of those.
Yeah.
And for a week, or not a week, like 3 or 4 days now, I couldn't beat it. Then this morning I woke up fresh. I did all three of them back to back, and
Nice.
I felt amazing. I guess I was up too late last night. I just needed, some sleep. But
Have you hit the roadblock one where it's like all turrets?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Did you? Yeah, I hated that one. That was my nemesis because I'm thinking I'm not good at stealth. Like I'm not.
I forgot what I did. I think I unlocked it where it can turn those things off or make them backfire on themselves.
Yeah.
And it was much easier after that.
That was the thing. I hadn't unlocked that yet.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's what I play games just going gun blazing, and you can't do that. You can do that with a lot of this game, but it seems like the very last ones of each one, it's like, no, you need to sit down and you need to think about this.
That's it. Yeah, you've got to think this through. There's one of the Riddler trophies where, you pull up on the Batmobile and it's a pressure pad, and you're like, okay, great, and that turns the targets on. And you realize real quick, like, oh, this isn't that simple. Like,
oh yeah.
It freaked me out.
Well, you know what made because I thought the races, the first one I did, I was like, I'm not gonna like this. I hate anything timed and where it's like go. I hate racing games. I hate car games in general. That's why this game, everything else about the game I love. I've grown to like the Batmobile in this game. But I hate the racing, and I hate the tank mode type stuff. But it's okay. I've gotten better with it. But the one thing that really helped in the races, and there's a part actually where you fight the Dark Knight, and this isn't really a spoiler, but there's just like room where
Arkham Knight.
Yeah, Arkham Knight. Sorry, you're right. And there's this room where you have to like go around, and he chases you and whatever in this big tank thing. And I won't say he's chasing you in, but I was like, well, I've noticed that when I go into first-person mode in the Batmobile, I can do those a lot easier. So when you're going in between fans and you have to hit certain things, or you have to make sure you don't get hit by things dropping from the ceiling, like in the Riddler races or whatever.
Yeah.
It is 100 times easier. Try it.
I believe that, yeah.
Yeah, put it first person mode, and you can hit those fans perfectly. You can go up the walls and on the ceiling perfectly. I go into third person mode, and I'm all over the place. Like the Batmobile's trying to go backwards and sideways and skidding. I go into first person mode, and it's easy breezy, just going up the side of the buildings, the side of the tunnel. It's perfect, and so I recommend that to anyone. If you're in the Batmobile and you're having trouble with those races, go into first person mode and try it. Because I went on a YouTube video just like to see, okay, what am I, sometimes I do that if I'm stuck or whatever. And they went into first person mode, and I tried it, and I was like, oh my god, this is so much easier. I'm enjoying it now. And so, but yeah, man. So I'm right there at the end. So I'm at the part, and again, I won't spoil it. We find out who Arkham Knight is, and that was cool. I liked that. And I'm a little bit past that, so there's some other things, some big things that have happened, but I'm not there truly at the very end yet. So I still have that to do, and then of course I'm going to get all the Riddler trophies, and I'm trying to platinum this because I've put so much effort into this. I need it. So, but yeah.
Luck,
so
man. Hey, I'm telling you, I have done these before. Like, I remember, I'm looking at this and I'm wondering if I should dust off that combat jacket I used to have, because you can look at my trophy list. I'm at Blade Lyon, Lyon, on PSN, and I'm just, you go ahead and look at that trophy list and you're thinking, man, you've done some that are awesome, some that are mediocre, and some where you must have just hated your life. Either
right.
Because there's some game, like, look, I platinumed the Hannah Montana game. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I wanted that trophy.
Wow.
I platinumed Skyrim. Like, that's the flip side of that. And I'm like, look, man,
that's dedication.
That's the thing. Somebody, and Arkham Knight is kind of like that with the Riddler trophies. There's so many of them, and they're in such weird places. And what I've been doing is I'm just gliding around all the different islands, finding all of the informants, and trying to get the hints out of them so it lights up the map. before
Yeah.
I decide to, like, I should go to YouTube and follow the coordinates, because I'm like, I'll wind up backtracking so much it's going to drive me crazy.
Yeah, exactly. No, no, that's what you're talking about is exactly what I'm doing. Is I see the green guys, I go after them, I interrogate them, and there's a lot that you just run across. I think I've gotten like 40 or 50 so far, and I've run across them, or I've gotten but I haven't I haven't seeked them out yet, and I'm going to be actually doing that probably this week. I'm going to be seeking out, the not just if I see them I go after them. I'm going to be flying over the city and finding them, but other than that, I've just found so many where I'm like, okay, I'm going to come back to this because I don't understand this right now. And there was one that was super hard. I think it's in the movie theater,
Okay.
and you have to use a batarang.
Okay.
You have to.
It's in the vent, isn't it?
It's in the vent. You have
Yeah.
to throw it through the vent, and you have to do it like 3 or 4 times. And I did 3 of them, and I thought this time I just need to go through the vent, make a few turns into the room, and hit the lever. And I accidentally stepped off of the pad that you're supposed to stand on, and it reset it. And I'm just like, and then I found out you can slow down the batarang.
Oh, you didn't know it had a brake.
What?
You didn't know it had brakes.
No, I didn't. I was such an idiot.
Oh, it helps so much.
And sometimes the batarang inside of the tunnel, when you turn, the camera doesn't follow it.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't on that last turn, I'm like, oh god, I can't do this. And that was one I was like, nope, I'm gonna sit here, and I did it for like 15 minutes, and I finally got it. And I'm like, yes, I don't have to go back to that one.
There you go.
But yeah, man, that's what I've been doing too. Just Arkham Knight. I haven't touched. Wow, I almost said Skyrim there. I haven't touched The Witcher since I've gotten Arkham Knight. I at least want to finish Arkham Knight before I go back to The Witcher, which is probably what I do. And then I'm going to go back to Arkham Knight to kind of like, okay, checklist of what I need for the platinum. Because I just want to get the story done with. Now that I know that I'm not going to screw up anything by, not finishing the story and doing everything else first. But yeah, man, that was my week. I spent the 4th working. I actually got a promotion at work, so now I'm doing a lot of training on top of my work. So since Saturday I've done like 40 hours. So I've worked like 10-hour shifts, and so I actually have a few days off. So yeah, man, I'm just gonna be relaxing the next few days, and playing some games, and catching up on these comic books. I have such a backlist now because I've been so busy, and on top of that, you gotta kind of focus on, all right, do I want to play games on my spare time that I get, a few hours that I get, or do I want to read or whatever? And Batman's kind of taken over, so. But yeah, man, we'll get into it. I guess we can.
Totally.
Let's just start with video games. I guess we don't usually do that, but since we're kind of talking about video games, we'll do that. We'll do video games, movies, TV, comics, and then we'll leave off with a few reviews. And the show will probably be a lot. Not as much time as normal, but yeah, man, let's kick it off. Let's actually start talking about what's leaked from Rocksteady. You take it.
Yeah, there was some concept art leaked. I don't know if it was today or in the last couple days, but I don't know if it was internal or whatever, but you could see on a WB Games Montreal dated, one piece was dated May, one was June, and the project was just titled Superman. And it was concept art of Superman in a kind of different suit than we're used to. It was like the underwear didn't come quite all the way around. And there was another piece I think you saw of Brainiac, and it was very much kind of what was it, Superman Unbound or whatever, the animated movie they did last year, I think. Mm-hmm. Very much like that, in that style.
Right. Well, did you see? I saw the article that you posted. Did you see the one where it's like a GIF, and it's also the picture of him in his New 52? It says New 52 skin.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, that looks terrible. Like whole that thing looked fake. That looked like somebody made that.
Right, it did, but it's the same. I mean, isn't this the same thing? Isn't this the same leak? Or do I got that wrong?
They were linking to a different article. Like
Oh,
where I saw the screenshots was from, they were like, "Hey, go here to see this leak stuff. Here's what we found."
oh,
And
okay.
like I don't know, their thing looked like old. If you remember the PS1 Spider-Man game, like it had
Right.
that kind of font and everything to it, and I was like,
Right, it has a comic book font, which,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, but no, okay, so I saw the one you posted, and I saw that one. I thought they were part of the same thing, but yeah, no, it's, it's, I mean, how do you do a Superman game that's good? I actually think we talked about this a few weeks ago. I was
We
saying
did,
how,
yeah.
yeah, how he'd probably not have his powers at the beginning, kind of like in the comics now, and throughout the game you work to kind of gain, just like in Batman, you work to gain all of your abilities. You upgrade the Batmobile, you upgrade your gadgets, you upgrade your fighting moves. He probably just, and then by the end you're probably flying, you're all Superman, and then at the end of the game you can be Superman. That's really the only way I think they could do it. I guess that's just the easy guess. I don't know. Um, but yeah, man, it's gonna be tough to get a good Superman game out there, but I hope they do.
Well, they
Fall.
said that about Batman too, 'cause
Yeah.
yeah, there was a tongue twister.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's. I mean, Rocksteady makes great games. I mean, I know as much heat they've gotten about the PC port and all that jazz, and I know there's a lot of backlash against the Batmobile itself, even though I've grown to like it. Um, hopefully they listen, and Superman's just it's gonna be a different animal to tackle. I don't know how you do that and make it like interesting. I hope they don't go the same road of timing things. I hate that in games where it's like you have to go here in a minute and a half, and if you don't, well then you have to start it over. And that always bugged me about Superman games. Or you wouldn't die, but you would just fail. You'd fail saving the city. So yeah, but yeah, no, I thought it was super cool. I'm interested. I'm curious who's leaking all this. But yeah, man. So yeah, there's also some other leak stuff.
Yeah,
They
let you
show.
run with this one, 'cause this was your poll.
Yeah, well, no, okay. I was gonna do the Nintendo XDS.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, I saw, we saw the NX, leak earlier, and people were wondering, is this real? Is this fake? And at this point, people have made things so good at faking things. Like, you remember a while back they did the Rayman, the guy who ever did Rayman for Smash, and it was just perfect.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was just like, wait, so that was fake? Because that looked totally real. But yeah, someone, of course, this is just rumor. It could not be real, but it looks real. It's XDS, and it's a new DS model revealed, and it's basically similar to the Nintendo Cross, basically where you can play Wii U games on the go, from what I understand. And you can play Wii games, Wii U games. The screen like swivels like a tablet, so it can swivel, go down, and you can use it as a second screen for the TV. So it works reverse. So you can play your Pokemon game. You can play your Ruby Red on the television and use that as a second screen. Or you can play your Wii U games on the actual handheld itself. Now, I don't know how it would work, emulation or like streaming. I don't know if I would like that. Kind of like the Vita does
Yeah.
the remote play. I mean, I guess that'd be okay if you're at your house, of course, but if you're not on the go, it'd be cool to have your Wii games on the go, offline, so you could, download it and go if you already bought it. Crossplay, I mean, we've talked about before, like Nintendo needs good crossplay. They need where you buy it on one system and it's on all your systems. And that's the thing. Sony's been doing that. It's up to the developer or whoever that pushes the game out. So most Sony games, you can do that. You buy it on PlayStation 4, and if it's on Vita, you get it too. It's the same game. You can download or whatever. Nintendo, since they basically own all their franchise, it's all first parties.
Yeah.
That would be cool too. Like you get the new Super Mario Brothers Wii U version, or whatever. You can play it on the new 3DS. Perfect. But yeah, I don't know. It's apparently this is going to be like 2016.
Yeah, that was what that one said. Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a step in the right direction. I personally think Nintendo needs to do something that can compete with the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. I know they believe they're their own little thing and they don't need to compete, but I wish they would try to, at least. You know what I mean? Like, I wish they would go, that's the only way they're going to get third party support, because no one's going to want to produce games on it if it can't come out on all the systems,
Exactly.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's cool. Yeah, we all kind of guessed this was coming, that like a cross-platform play, but yeah. So anyway, speaking of that kind of stuff, I saw that some guy, I didn't know the full story, but his dad, said he worked with someone. I forget who said the name was, but it turned out to be like the creator of PlayStation. And he found it in his dad's attic, and it was the Sony Nintendo SNES CD. And so, look it up online. And I posted about it on the site. It's this on our Facebook page. It's a hybrid. It's like an SNES, but with a CD drive. So it's got both the cartridge and the CD drive. And Shu from PlayStation, he's basically the father of PlayStation, or one of them, said that he played around with something just like that. He didn't confirm it or anything, but he's like, yeah, that there's a thing like that exists. Because I guess someone interviewed him, and I don't think he saw the footage yet. Maybe he was like, yeah, no, I remember playing with a SNES type hybrid. It just said Sony PlayStation on it, or it just said PlayStation on it, and yeah, it looks cool. Like that, whoever found that, like that could be worth thousands, like up to I would probably say $100,000 easy to the right person that would want to buy. Like that is, I guess I want to say it belongs in a museum, you know what I mean? And it totally does. But that kid landed on gold. It's like, imagine finding, the Nintendo prototype. Oh man. So yeah, dude, have you seen it? I don't know if you've seen it yet.
Yeah. It looks, imagine a 64 with the disk drive kind of thing, but
yeah.
as an SNES. Man, I cannot talk tonight.
Oh, you're doing better than me. Yeah. And so yeah, man. Well, what I thought was cool about it, and what was real about it, was it was turning yellow, just like an SNES does.
Yeah.
I still have my SNES, still works. Beautiful game. I went to the flea market and picked up some cords for it, of course, so I can play it on my television. And the bottom, it's yellow. They made it because the was the fire or whatever, right? Like they put stuff on it, so I don't know, so it doesn't melt. But yeah, it looks so real. The only thing that I question on it is actually the word PlayStation, but I guess Sue kind of already explained that it did say PlayStation on it. The fact that they were that far along with knowing what they wanted to name it, and I liked the colors on it. It was just like the Super Famicom, and that makes sense why the PlayStation colors are of the Super Famicom colors, blue and red and whatnot. And I was like, it's so neat, especially for people like us that just love to geek out on that kind of stuff.
Right.
Like that's one interesting story. The whole the birth of PlayStation. If you don't know, maybe we should do a show about that one day. But basically, it's the whole story of them and Nintendo trying to do something, and Sony and Nintendo trying to do something, and it falling apart, and then Sony going, we're just going to do our own thing. And it was the birth of the PlayStation, and then of course PlayStation 2, the greatest selling video game console of all time. It's such an interesting story. But yeah, we'll get into that some other time. But that's just such a cool path to go down, and that would be a cool documentary, or one day make a movie. I know that Seth Rogen and them are doing a Nintendo Genesis movie, but I think that would be a cool movie to make about like the birth of PlayStation and how it came about and how they broke all the rules and did it right and stuff. So anyway, I thought that was cool. Do you want to take one of the next ones?
Sure. Where are we going next?
Let's talk about No Man's Sky for just a moment. I saw that they had a IGN. I don't know if you've seen it. The gameplay. They did like 20 minutes of gameplay, and like they showed, it's basically Minecraft in space. It seems like. Like we've already talked about how vast it is, and I don't even want to go there because it breaks my brain to think about. But they've explained that, just like they did it at E3, there's a center of the universe, and we're all trying to get to it. And we don't know what that is, and I'm sure that will be the big mystery of the game. But it basically showed, what you can do in it, and it showed that you not only can mine the planet and get different elements, but the game is all about elements and how they interact with each other, just like Minecraft, and that's what it seems like. And the different animals on the planet, you find them, and every time you discover an animal, you have it in your log. And the interface, because it actually goes to showing you what your bag looks like, your ship looks like, it's very much like Destiny. How it has the little squares, and you have a little cursor that goes from one thing to another, and you're kind of moving it around the screen. I assume because it's gonna be on PC, so it's a similar kind of interface. But it just showed, him going around destroying part of the planet, the things coming after him the second he attacked something. It showed him like an animal coming after him, like a little goat, and he shot next to the ground. And it, he could scare it away, which is a smart thing to do because if you kill it, then like robots will come after you. And they go into detail about how, like, in the game, there's this race of robots that, when you kill them, they rebuild themselves. And that's how they explain them keep coming after you, and how they've kind of all over the universe. So it's this way of putting the rules in the game. Like, you go after these things, you get a wanted level. They talked about going after, when you see big space battles, you can join them, and you can actually join different sides, and and there's different factions in the universe. And they basically say, you can go after a starship, and if you actually take down the starship and take their materials and everything else, it's huge points to your character, which is like credits or whatnot. It's your currency. You can take down the starships, and if you take down a space station, he's like, that's a whole nother level. You have to do a lot of planning. Really reminded me of EVE Online. And yeah, it was it was super cool. So he went into detail about that, and there's a lot more, but yeah, dude, he just goes all in on like all this stuff he did. It basically reminded me of like a mishmash of EVE Online, Minecraft, and this game that, like, he's like, and that's the cool thing is, if you just want to trade items, you can do that. Your whole job can be very boring and going from outpost to outpost, buying low, selling high, and become rich. Or you can become a dog fighter, or a pirate, basically, where you go after bigger ship to get a bigger ship to get a bigger ship, and then you go after space stations, and that's a lot. So he's like, there's so many different, or you can just be an explorer. And so that was what was really cool about it. And he's like, this is a game that we wanted people, you could play for hours, or you could just log in for a few hours a night, do your thing, and log out. You don't have to, you can play at your pace. So I don't know, I thought that was cool.
Yeah, fascinating.
Oh yeah. One other thing I wanted to bring up, which I thought was so cool, there's not really much to talk about it, was that PewDiePie, dude, he made 7.5 million last year. God, off of YouTube alone. I saw that a lot of people got mad at that, but you can't get mad at that. I mean, he actually made a video to address it, and he's just like, look, if it wasn't me, it'd be someone else. Yeah. And that he was like, that's just how this works. I make videos, you guys watch it, most of you like it, that's why you keep watching it, and it gives me, that's how I make money. And he was like, if you like someone else more than me, go refresh their video page, because that's how they get paid. So I thought that was so cool. And he was just talking about how in college he didn't have a computer that could barely, capture video. And he worked at like a hot dog stand, and but then he ended up becoming popular, and he became big. He ended up dropping out of school because he saw, of course, how much money he was making, 7.5 million in 1 year. He was just, there was no one else around on YouTube that was that big for gaming. And I just thought that was such a cool story. Like, love him or hate him, like, at the end of the day, like, he's just a content creator, and he works hard, and hell, that's awesome. Yeah. So
fun fact: he uses a Spark Blue microphone to record.
Oh, nice. That's what you use, right?
I use a Nessie Blue microphone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, I didn't know that. I've seen some of his videos. A lot of his stuff is like, I'm PewDiePie, blah, blah, blah. And it's not necessarily for me, but hey, man, more power to him. Like, I guess, like, his whole deal is he gets funny reactions, or like just outrageous reactions when he's playing games and stuff. And, that's what people like. That's awesome. Cool. And what he said was just like, he's like, technically anyone could do this. He knows that there was a lot of luck in what he did.
Well, yeah.
And he's grateful for it. Anyone else would be. It's like, what he didn't know how to respond when, like, people were posting how much he makes a year. He was like, that should be relevant to anybody, and he was like, I'm not going to play dumb. I love money just like anyone else. He's like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's not bad. He's like, but I'd still be doing it even if I wasn't making any money. And so I thought that was cool and important.
There you go.
But yeah, man, I think that's it for video games. We can move on to movies. You start. You take one.
Well, here's this one.
Okay.
Lionsgate and Hasbro are teaming up to do something that no one wanted them to do, which is to make a live action Monopoly movie. For the people who didn't think that Battleship was bad enough, now we have Monopoly. And I want to read from the synopsis, okay? Listen to this. The film, quote unquote, centers on a boy from Baltic Avenue who uses both chance and community in a quest to make his fortune, taking him on a fun, adventure-filled journey about making your own luck, what makes you truly rich, and, of course, avoiding jail time. To be written by Andrew Niccol, who wrote The Truman Show.
So how does this work?
I don't care. I don't want this to exist.
I don't get how that works.
I just
Oh man, I'm not gonna. I don't know. That doesn't sound like a movie I'd want to see in a theater. But I'm curious, how in the hell you make a movie out of that?
This is a movie. Excuse me. Sorry, y'all. It's why I haven't been talking much tonight. I'm not tremendously on top of things, but no. So I'm sorry. This is the kind of movie that's either going to be so bad that it's funny, or it's going to be one where people are saying, you spent how much money on this and not on something that could have been actually decent.
Right,
like,
exactly.
This is not going to sell anything. It's not going to put butts in seats. It's not going to, Monopoly board game sales are not going to spike. If people want Monopoly, they get Monopoly. What makes Monopoly sell are licensed editions. Hell, on this show, on this very show, weeks and weeks ago, I sold you on a Monopoly edition that had Pokemon, and you bought it from GameStop on this show. You didn't buy it because, hey, Monopoly. It's like, hey, Pokemon Monopoly. Like, that's
right, it's
what
sitting
sells.
in my treasure trove of board games.
There you go.
it's you're absolutely right. That's what sells it. And I mean, this would have been cool maybe as like a Cartoon Network or like a Netflix kid show where it's like, I don't know, how they have those CGI kid shows where it's like blah blah blah. I could see something like that, but not a live action. It just makes no sense. I don't understand. Transformers makes sense as a movie because you can do that.
Sure.
Stuff like that makes sense. Monopoly, it doesn't at all. I could see maybe the Life or something like that. And as much as what was it, Battleship? Did not like the movie. Thought it was a silly concept. But I could see that a little bit more than I could ever see a Monopoly movie.
Well, what they did with Battleship was essentially they said, hey, we want to remake Independence Day
right
in the water. instead of like in the air. You know, it was basically Independence Day with battleships instead
Right.
of jets. And they said, "But what do we call it?" And they were like, "Hey, battleship."
Right.
And thus, hopefully, Rihanna's acting career ended.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty
But
much.
anyway, you know.
Yeah. Well, where it should have. Like, I don't know why they thought that would be a good idea.
Yeah,
Put Rihanna in the
yeah,
film.
yeah.
Yeah. But no, man, it's yeah, what a ridiculous idea. But to some better news, we got some Star Wars news here.
Yes.
I saw that Christopher Miller and Phil Lord, the guys behind Lego Movie and 2122 Jump Street, is set to direct the Han Solo film. It's one of their anthology films. It said here that Lawrence Kasdan from Raiders, he did Raiders of the Lost Ark, Return of the Jedi, The Empire Strikes Back, Force Awakens, and son John Kasdan, which is first time in Freaks and Geeks, one of my favorite shows, is set to write. Those guys get it, so I'm totally down. It'd be interesting to see who they cast as Han Solo, and they have to. Oh, man, this is one of those kind of things where. With Rogue One, it's a new thing. There's no, like, I'm sure they have some barriers and boundaries, but it's kind of like its own open thing. Where this one is like, you're going to have a lot of people going, you have to get Han Solo right. You do this, there's so many ways to make this wrong. I guess
totally.
is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And, weren't they attached to do, like.
The Flash.
The Flash? Yeah, they were going to do The Flash and something else.
Yeah. I forget.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, no, I know they were attached because they blew up, to do a few other things. But yeah, man, I'm down with that.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was whatever the next Jump Street movie was. Apparently, they were going to do the third one. But yeah, and also stay with Star Wars. Star Wars Episode 8 already has a cast, or someone was casted for it. Donnie Yen from IP Man to play a Jedi in the upcoming
Yip
film.
Man.
What?
Yip Man.
See, I never watched that movie. I always heard it was good.
Yeah.
So it's called Yip Man?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. So maybe I just have IP here. So maybe it was just a.
That's how it's spelled.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see,
Yeah.
I guess I have no idea. I don't know anything about those films. I just know they're good martial arts films. But yeah, dude. I thought that was cool.
Who's he playing?
He plays a Jedi.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. I don't know if you didn't hear me. Yeah, no, he plays a Jedi in the upcoming film.
No, sorry. I must
to
have blanked.
meet and befriend Han Solo. My bad, I missed that.
There you go.
Oh, wow, yeah, I totally missed that line there. Yeah, no, see, I didn't read that. I didn't know anything about that. I didn't even see that in the article I read. Okay, yeah, to meet and befriend. So, okay, spoiler alert. Jesus. I thought he'd die, but I guess he doesn't. So that's cool. I'm glad he doesn't. I have him later on. I want them in more.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's awesome. I saw him. I didn't know him as much. Obviously, I didn't see the other movie he was in, but I love Star Wars news. But yeah, let's keep it in the Disney. I actually saw you post something about this. That Disney to make a live action Prince Charming film. Yeah, Matt Fogel, Big Mama's Like Father Like Son. Is that one of the Big Mama's movies?
I guess. I
My
mean,
grandma
I
loves
don't know.
those films. My grandma loves any film where a black guy's playing a woman for some reason. I don't know why. She adores them. She adores all the what are those? Oh, help me out
Medea.
here. What?
Medea.
Medea. Yeah, she loves those films. I don't know what it is. But yeah. So help me out here. Someone who I don't know much about Disney princesses and stuff like that. Prince Charming, is that from Cinderella or
Snow White?
Snow
Maybe,
White? Okay.
I think. I don't. Hang on. Or no, wait.
Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty. Thank you. That was it.
Or
Yes.
Snow White and Sleeping Beauty, actually. But
Oh, hell.
and Cinderella. I'm looking a picture of a guy holding a shoe. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's the stereotypical prince in those films.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I don't know why. I guess they're catering to little girls. I don't know. That's
well, I mean, Cinderella did well. So.
Yeah, didn't you say they bought the rights to it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did.
Okay.
What was the thing? They bought. Somebody wrote a treatment or something, and they bought it. I think is how they're doing it.
Apparently, the movie it's going to take the point of view of his little brother, who isn't Prince Charming.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So I don't know. Disney, I mean, they have the money to kind of do that stuff now, especially with their, taking over Marvel and Star Wars. I guess they can make, films. They can go outside of the. I guess this isn't outside the box for them, but I've never been a fan of live action Disney cartoon movies, if that makes sense. Like they've taken the cartoon movies and they made live action versions of them. I mean, they're not the ones that did The Wizard of Oz, right? But that still kind of falls in that same category. You know what I mean?
No.
Like the newer versions of the older stuff. I guess never mind. Wizard of Oz wasn't a cartoon, but I don't know. There's all this like Alice in Wonderland. There's
okay, yeah, because that was terrible.
Yeah, there's all these like maybe I'm thinking like fairy tale movies that are now put out in live action. It's just it's a little strange to me. Not my cup of tea, but hey, not everything is. But to kind of keep on that, the Marvel stuff. Unfortunately, I'm gonna mispronounce her name. You want to take it?
Hang on, yeah. Ava DuVernay, I believe.
Right, that she's not directing Black Panther.
No, she came out and she said nope, not doing it. She said they couldn't agree on a creative direction,
right?
Which, it's kind of like what happened with Edgar Wright, and I think it's what happened with I can't remember who was supposed to direct one of the Thor movies.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on her name, and that's terrible. But
yeah. What was her name? It was Thor 2.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It was Patty. Hold on, let me Google it.
Okay, but in the meantime,
Patty Jenkins. Yeah,
that's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a thing of like Marvel has a plan, and the director maybe doesn't like that plan, and Marvel says, well, it's our franchise. So
right. I mean, that's kind of that's how it should be known now. When you're making one of these superhero films, you're going to have to do what Marvel says, pretty much.
Right.
You can't. I mean, you can't really. You can't fault them for that. I'm sure DC. I don't know. I'm sure any studio, when there's that much money on the line, they kind of have an overall plan, and they're like, it needs to fit into that.
Yeah.
And
I mean, here's the thing. Look at how weird Guardians was.
Right, but they had more room to work with.
I know, but why not do more of that? Not just make everything weird, but do, branch out. Make some things maybe less action-y, if I dare even say it.
Totally. Yeah. Here's what I think probably happened to use your argument about Guardians, it is in its own pocket, literally of the universe, where there's no connection except for Thanos.
True.
And I'm sure Marvel was like, here's the deal, Thanos has to be in it. This stuff has to happen. Just like, we heard the stuff with Avengers 2. They're like, we need Thor to set up his next film. For whatever reason, I thought that part was stupid. But, he had to work with the studio on getting that right. And I think any director going into these Marvel films has to know that just with the Star Wars ones, they have to kind of align with the direction Marvel wants to go in. And like you said, we saw with Edgar Wright, it was basically he had his idea, which was fantastic. Disney had theirs, and he didn't feel right doing, what they wanted him to do. And even in the trailers, you can see some Edgar Wright type stuff in it.
Totally.
Yeah, so they've kept a lot of it, but it's not going to be his baby because I'm sure there's a lot of in it that Marvel wanted to have, that it didn't feel right. So it's I think moving forward, it's going to be one of those things where Marvel's probably going to be seeking people that they have to fall in line with it, or it's just not going to work. And that's the unfortunate thing. But it's gonna be interesting seeing who they pick up for it. I was super excited about that, but yeah, kind of staying in the Marvel Phase 3. Basically, it says Marvel Phase 3. Kevin Feige gave basically an update. We literally just crossed the halfway mark. Captain America: Civil War last week. It's day 42 or 43 of 80. Holy crap.
Yeah.
He said we start filming Doctor Strange in London in November. We start shooting Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 in March 2016. We start filming Thor Ragnarok and Spider-Man around the same time, around June of next year. Man, they're crazy backed. I also saw a rumor, and it was just that because it was some source from a podcast or whatever, that Marvel is in talks with Fox about doing.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. It did excite me a little bit, but doubtful, totally doubtful. But who knows? I mean, I think once we see how good Spider-Man does, or doesn't do, that might change things moving forward. They might go, hey, why not play along?
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's kind of
I'm sure.
That's kind of the take that both Sony and Marvel has said is like, we're not losing anything doing this. We're only gaining. There's only money to gain, playing along with each other. And hopefully we see that come. But yeah, man, Marvel is stacked. You can totally see they're starting to expand their universe. Black Panther, Doctor Strange, to just have different characters because they're not always going to have Robert Downey Jr. That's coming up, and Chris Hemsworth and all of them. Like they're going to have to figure out how to add new Avengers, and that's just what happened in the comics. They had to add new teammates. They just had a rotating cast, and I think that would be perfect because it's later on down the road. It's going to be way more exciting to see an older Steve Rogers pop out of nowhere and be like in the movie and be like, I'm here to help or something like that.
Yeah.
That's going to be cool. See Sam Wilson take over Captain America for a few films moving forward, or what's his name, the Winter Soldier, or whoever. It'd be totally cool, and that's the kind of path I think they should go down. But yeah, man, they're super busy. Let's see what else we got here from movies. I did see McCarthy in her Ghostbusters uniform. Did you see that?
I did. It was a tan jumpsuit with like some stripes. Like I'm not. Yeah.
Yep. It looked like it.
Yeah.
They got the look down.
I'm like, I didn't. I'm like, okay, this is a thing. That kind of stuff just isn't exciting me about this. Like, I need to see a trailer. Some things I'm like, ooh, concept art. Like I like that, but it depends on the subject material. That's the big thing.
Right, and I mean, I think I was just born a little bit too late to be a huge Ghostbusters fan. There's kind of that generational gap. Like, my older brother was a Ghostbusters fan, but I was a Ninja Turtles fan. You know what I mean?
Hang on.
I understand the humor of Ghostbusters, and it was great as a kid, but the fact that it's going to be a movie universe is a little weird. But I don't know. It's cool.
You were born before me, like.
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, but what I'm saying is, like, my brother was just super into Ghostbusters, where I am super into Ninja Turtles. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I think if I don't know, that's just kind of how I separate the age gap. It's like, that was the big thing, and then that was the big thing. Like, his big thing, Transformers. I think that was a little bit before Ninja Turtles. But yeah, I don't know. So, But
here's an interesting thing, and I'll tell a quick story.
Okay.
My brother and his family stopped in town on their way back through, and it was really funny to watch because my brother's 14 years older than me, and his big things were Transformers and Ninja Turtles, and to watch like his the everything on this side of the family is kind of weird. So it was kind of like nephew in-law ish or something. They're strange over there, but they're all together. It's a nice family. It's great. But to see him sit there and talk about what's awesome to him, Transformers and Ninja Turtles, because of how they've had this renaissance now.
Right.
And it was just kind of neat to see kind of that generation gap more or less just evaporate, in a sense.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, totally. And that's kind of, I guess, what I was. There's children of the '80s. There's children that were born in the early '80s that was their total thing.
Yeah.
And then there's children who were born in the late '80s, like me, where it's like Ninja Turtles, because it was in the '90s where it became crazy big with the TV show and stuff. And that's kind of where I was like, oh god, overload. But yeah, dude, yeah, I mean, like you said, the generational gap type stuff. Like it's my buddy, that listens to the show. I'll give him a shout out, Raphael. Raphael. I'm totally mispronouncing that. Sorry, but he loves Star Wars and Star Trek as much as I love. I love Star Wars, but you know what I mean. Like as much as I love maybe like the new Marvel stuff and the Ninja Turtles and stuff like that. He has such a passion for Star Trek, especially. Because he watched that stuff as a kid. He watched he saw Star Wars in the, we should get him on the show. I've been telling him he should come on, but he saw Empire Strikes Back and all that stuff in the theater, Star Wars. He saw, he saw all that stuff happening, and Star Trek, he's totally into that. And you see how much love and affection he has for that kind of stuff. And I'm like, dude, that's the same way I felt when I saw the Jurassic Park, as a kid in the movie theater. It blew my mind, and it blew most people's minds, but seeing it as a kid under the age of 10, you're just like, holy crap, that's a whole nother, level of excitement. And so that's what I imagine it was like for him, seeing Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back and all that as a kid in the theater. It's like, wow, like that, you can't really capture that. You can't explain that. You can't see that without being that age and at that time. Ninja Turtles, I'm sure to my parents, was weird as hell. Like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, why would anybody get excited for this? Just like I'm sure kids nowadays, when their parents are like, what the hell is Pokemon? Why do kids obsessed with that?
Yeah.
You won't get it until you actually. We were just blessed being that age, and our age further, like because we live in such a different world than like our parents or grandparents lived in, where our grandparents they got excited maybe about baseball players and stuff. Like it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same world, and so it's you don't get it unless you live that. So when I see kids today totally obsessed with, now Marvel superheroes, of course, and like Pokemon and stuff like that, I'm like, I get that. Because I remember being like that, where my parents or grandparents might not have, they didn't get excited about that kind of stuff because it just didn't have it. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
That's all right.
But yeah, man. But yeah, I think that pretty much does it for movies. I know Ant-Man comes out next weekend, not this weekend. I'm excited for that. I know Terminator's out, but I don't know. I'm not excited about Terminator. So I don't know if I'll see it eventually, but I don't know why, but I've been really excited about seeing Ant-Man, and I haven't been excited about it since. I'm in a group chat, and my buddy, we got kind of an argument today, because he's like, Ant-Man's gonna bomb. It's gonna flop. And he's not he doesn't really like Marvel films. He really wants to see Batman vs Superman, but he's like, I think it's gonna be terrible and flop. And I'm like, here's the thing. I think Ant-Man is not going to flop because of, a flop is like what Green Lantern did. It cost $200 million to make. It only made $100 or so million. Ant-Man was like $115 million to make. I think it's going to go over that. I think it'll make like Thor numbers, not Guardians of the Galaxy.
Fair.
You know what I mean? Like Ant-Man really is the risk that they're taking. Guardians, I know a lot of people said it was a risk, but man, how did you not get excited seeing those trailers? And it was basically like Star Wars. It was awesome. Where Ant-Man, I don't get that same feeling. It definitely feels like, okay, we're making a movie about a guy with ant superpowers and stuff. Like, I don't know how the regular population is going to take this.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing. But they've been advertising it to death. the talent in it is really good. The Edgar Wright thing's really good, but the Edgar Wright thing, I feel like none of my friends knew that. I feel like you have to be a niche kind of thing to know that. Even though it's all out there, most people are just like, oh, it's a movie about an ant superpower. It's Marvel. It's the fact that it's Marvel. I think people will go see it, of course, and take their kids.
Yeah.
But I don't know why. I've been really, and I heard that also there are two, because they've already premiered it. There's two cutscenes, and they said these are some of the best cutscenes they've ever seen. Not cutscenes, I'm sorry, end credit scenes. There's one midway and there's one at the end. And they say, surprisingly, it hasn't been leaked, but they say it's pretty big. And it since this is the end of Phase 3, these are pretty big in cut, after credit scenes. So I'm looking forward to that. I can't wait to see how he because apparently it's just kind of like in Daredevil where they talk about the universe. He talks about the Avengers and stuff like that. So it's going to be cool to see.
Nice.
But yeah, man, let's roll right into TV shows. We'll stay kind of on the same track. You can try pronouncing this name since you're good at that. But Daredevil. They announced someone that's going to be in it. I saw the poster and stuff. I'm excited about it.
Yes.
Yeah, what's her name?
Elodie Young.
Right, and I saw her in G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
And
she was in...
I don't remember in Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
It was not a big part.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, she looks like the role, and from what I remember in G.I. Joe Retaliation, she can do the role. I'm actually, let me take that back. I'm not too excited about Elektra. She doesn't excite me at all, but I'm glad they're adding stuff like that. It's not just going to be Punisher and Daredevil. That it's a little bit bigger now. We're going to have Elektra, Daredevil, Punisher, and what other surprises they give us.
Exactly.
And, oh man, I'm so glad the first season was as good as it was. And it actually, like, people who don't even like comic book stuff, they saw it because it was Netflix.
Yeah.
They were like, wow, that was really good. Was not expecting that. So it's cool. It's building its own little world.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see when the rest of them dovetail in.
Yeah.
It's weird that Marvel is gonna have 3 universes in one. They have cinematic and then TV and then Netflix. All have their own kind of continuity.
The fact that they do that, and they seem to be the only studio that can do that, or has done it so successfully. It baffles me that DC has not got on the same page, and we can talk about that little thing because I didn't see it in here, but I did see someone is going to be coming, or rumor coming to, the Flash.
Yes, I think I posted that.
You did. You want to talk about it?
I didn't put it in the notes, but there are rumblings because of the idea of the multiverse being introduced in the Flash, which is not a spoiler.
Right.
There's talk going around of saying, well, how are we? And with Legends of Tomorrow, it's kind of the same thing. So it's like, hey, who could we kind of drag in to say these are parallel universes kind of things? And somebody said, hey, Tom Welling's not up to much currently. What if we had him pop by?
Right.
And now, just a rumor, but I would lose my freaking mind if all of a sudden, Smallville Superman, all grown up Superman now, suit and all, CW,
right,
decides to find a way to pop in. Are you kidding?
They could totally do it. Yeah, have him, like you said, have him established in his own little universe, and because of something the Flash does, suddenly he drops into this one, and that's how you introduce Superman in this universe, and that he's like, hey, I'm from somewhere else, but I can help here, and then he doesn't have to be the whole show in a season or two. He can be like, I found a way back. Goodbye, I'll be back or something. I don't know. But yeah, dude, totally. That would be, see, I watched, where was I? I watched Smallville for 4 or 5 seasons. I did one of those binges where I'm like, the show's over, I'm going to do it, I'm going to watch it. And it was one of those things where once you get 4 or 5 seasons into a show, you can either be like, all right, I'm in for the long one, or I think something happened and I just lost track. I need to go back and finish it because it was good. I mean, from what I understand, it was Monster of the Week, but it started to get a little bit of traction. But yeah, that's one of those things where I need to go back and finish it. But yeah, dude, that would be so totally cool, running around with them as Superman. But yeah, man, that's interesting. So
And to do this, for no other reason than to give Cisco a reason to say, so wait a minute, who's faster?
Yeah.
Just drop that in there. It would be awesome.
Exactly. I keep that's one show I keep thinking about now that it's over. Like, there's so many directions they can go in, and like who some of the characters in the show, in the comic end up being and stuff, and it's like, oh, I can't wait to see that next season, or that's one show I just like, oh man, is that back on yet? Like, that's what I keep thinking. Like, when is this coming back? So yeah, man, that'd be cool. That'd be totally cool. Also, I did see one that's a little bit of sad news. Is that Netflix and Amazon passed on Hannibal.
Yep.
And it was probably just too expensive to make, I'm thinking. As a primetime show, on what channel was it on?
NBC.
It was on NBC, right? Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm thinking, is that it was just too expensive. But it doesn't mean it's necessarily dead. If Netflix and Amazon didn't pick it up, I mean, there are other outlets, but then that doesn't make sense, because I'm sure Yahoo and Sony probably isn't going to put up the money they want. But yeah, that sucks. I mean, I know a lot of people were fans, and I heard it was actually really good. But yeah, so that was that sad news. Some good news though. I did. You want to pronounce his name, because I always mispronounce it.
Harry Shearer. Yeah.
Harry Shearer. Yeah. Coming back to The Simpsons, signed a 4-year deal. Of course he did. Gosh, I mean, so Mr. Burns will be back.
Yeah, man. Hey, man. It's all about that dollar bill, y'all.
Yeah, that's what it was. And I took your advice, and I watched I Know That Voice, the documentary on Netflix.
Yeah, what did you think?
Oh, it was such a treat. So I love there's a part where they do impressions of different people, and who did Tara Strong? She did an impression of it's that Spanish girl. I don't know. Anyway, but she something Perret. I don't even want to pretend that I know her name. But anyway, they did different impressions of different people, and I forget the voice actor, but he did his best Tony Soprano, and it was just dead on. So James Gandolfini, where he did his best impression of James Gandolfini, was just dead on. It was the guy who ever did the Joker after Mark Hamill.
Yeah, no, not D. Bradley Baker. I feel terrible. I should know this.
Yeah, he won an Emmy for it.
I can't remember.
Let me see if I can look it up.
Kevin Michael Richardson.
Yeah. So that he did James Gandolfini. It was just dead on.
And I'm telling you, listen to Rob Paulson's podcast. It's called Talking Tunes with Rob Paulson. You'll love it. You'll absolutely love it.
Yeah, I did see that. And I have it in my queue, but I haven't listened to it. It was Tara Strong did Rosie Perez.
That's it.
It was just dead on. It's just like infinity plus infinities. Sometimes you lose, or I don't know, but she did it perfect. And yeah, some of the stuff I've kind of known about, just because we've talked about, I saw Ron Paulson on a different podcast where he talked about what they have to do, and I've heard Mark Hamill go into detail about how he does the Joker and stuff, so I kind of understood. I like most people thought they get behind a mic, they do the recording, probably not much to it. I didn't think about much until a few years ago, and you have such respect for what they do, and how hard it is for them. Basically they explain it like this. They were like, they hate when someone comes up to them and they're like, hey, I can do a good Homer Simpson. And it's like, yeah, but can you do Homer Simpson doing Shakespeare?
Yeah.
Can you do Homer Simpson losing his wife and losing his mother? Or can you do Homer Simpson, reciting whatever, and it's like, oh shit, you're right. They actually have to act as that character. And keep in mind, they have about 40 other characters in their head that they have to know the different pitch and and like you saw the girl who does Millhouse, or I'm sorry, Bart, and like all the different characters she does, and like the different pitch and tone she has to do, and the character she has to get into, and the mindset, and then of course the Mark Hamill with the Joker and everything. It's just it was a real treat. Like, I don't know, it's really cool. So yeah, if you're listening, go watch that documentary. It's on Netflix.
I encourage everyone to go watch it. It's called I Know That Voice.
Oh
It's
yeah.
on it's on Netflix, and it's awesome. I love watching it. I think I've seen it like 6 times.
Yeah, it's totally cool, totally cool. But yeah, man, I think that does it for TV. So we'll move right along to some video games. Well, no, we
Which we
did video
did.
games. Skip that. Just kidding. Going down my list here. But yeah, man, let's go into comics. There's not much. I didn't read much this week. We'll talk about I have so much catching up to do, but well, we'll get into Secret Wars in a little bit when we go into like spoiler stuff. But I saw Walking Dead. Brian K. Vaughan from Saga and Why the Last Man is to write a story that takes place in the Walking Dead universe, and he described it as the crossover you didn't see coming. So what does that even mean?
I don't know. I wish I knew, but I have no clue.
Yeah, so the crossover you didn't see coming. So, I mean, Why the Last Man? I guess I could see that. I mean, I don't know, because that's kind of like it's not a post-apocalyptic world, or it kind of is. I guess it's where it's just, women and one man. But I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea what that could mean. I do know I do want to read his other book that he just came out with. Let me see if I can get the name of it. It's like a futuristic world against the United States versus Canada. Let's see here.
I'm always game for a good U.S. versus Canada war story.
Oh
Let's
yeah,
just-
oh yeah. Let me see here.
Was it
I thought I had
together?
it in front of me, but I don't know what happened to
It was
it.
what, like Together We Stand or something? What was
Yeah,
it?
okay, We Stand on Guard.
Thank you.
That's it. Yeah, it's like not a post-apocalyptic world, but it's just a futuristic war against the United States and Canada for water. And I think it's from like the viewpoint of Canada, and that's such an interesting concept. So I'm in. So I want to read that. There's a few other things I want to read too. There was one called Airboy. Have you heard of it?
No.
Okay. Airboy. Let's see here. Let me bring up the.
Yes. Do tell.
Yeah, 1 second. I don't know what happened to my notes here.
They flew away.
Right, yeah. Holy crap. We might have to get back to Airboy because it was James Robinson. But from what I understand, it's basic. It's not a story about Airboy.
Okay.
I guess Airboy is a character that he owns. The real story is about him. I can't even explain. I guess I should probably gather my notes and come back and do this. But basically, it's about James Robinson wanting to write about Airboy, from what I understand, and it's about this fictional romp that him and I don't know who else is in it. Maybe it's the illustrator of it. But they just it's about them like I can't. I'm doing a horrible job explaining it, so I'm actually going to do it later once I have my notes
So it's
together.
basically just like total meta, essentially.
Right, totally meta about him, trying to figure out how he's going to do this, and it's just lewd and ridiculous. And apparently, they go to sex clubs, and it's wacky, and somehow Airboy shows up apparently. So I'll tell you what, I'm actually going to read it first, and then I'll talk about it.
Okay.
But I was sold on that concept that it was basically it was like what's that Nicolas Cage movie where it's about writing?
I don't know.
Hold on. It was my favorite film of his. And I can't even think of it. It was wow, I'm just batting for 100 here, aren't I?
Yeah.
Adaptation. You ever seen Adaptation?
No, I've never heard of it.
Okay, Adaptation is an interesting film. It is they basically it's hard to explain. It's basically a book about how you can't make a movie out of it, and they do. So
Okay.
basically, it says a lovelorn screenwriter becomes desperate as he tries and fails to adapt The Orchid Thief by Susan Orland for the screen. So it's a story about how he he needed to write a movie for a book that you can't write a movie for, and the movie is about that, and it's literally about how you can't write a book. A movie for a book. So anyway,
Yeah.
it's meta, totally meta. So that's what how this Airboy was explained. The writer is writing about himself not being able to write about a book, and then all this crazy shit happens, and then Airboy actually shows up or something.
Yeah, that's a
So
Nick Cage movie for sure.
yeah. So check out Adaptation. I thought it was interesting. I saw it as a kid, and I was just like, "What is this?" It's kind of like being John Malkovich. It's like this is so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, man. So anyway, Airboy, I definitely want to check that out. And I don't know. The only other comic news is, of course, we got Comic-Con coming up this week. Um, some notable panels here. On the 9th is Doctor Who at 7 p.m. Now, they don't like air Comic-Con live like they do E3. So this is just gonna be news, I guess, stories popping up.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the 10th, they have a Lucifer panel, Walking Dead panel, Fear the Walking Dead, Minority Report, which is the TV show, right?
Right.
Doing Game of Thrones, Agents of Shield, Agent Carter, Ash vs. Evil Dead, which is a show, right? They're coming out.
Yeah, on Stars.
Right, yeah, and Justice League Gods and Monsters, which is like the alternate version of Justice League, right?
Yeah.
Cool. On the 11th, they do the Warner Brothers movies, Batman vs. Superman. I'm sure we'll get, any news about any their future projects.
For sure.
The Muppets, and Warner Brothers Television, which we'll get more about, Arrow, Flash, whatever else they're going to come out with. And on the 12th, Supernatural and Heroes Reborn. Now, from what I understand, somewhere in this, I had the list somewhere up in front of me, but I can't find it now. But they are going to show the World of Warcraft trailer, and it will be released online after they do that.
That should be during Legendary, right?
Okay, yeah. So it would be during Legendary, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm excited about. Out of all the things at Comic-Con, I want to see this trailer that, of everyone that I know that's seen it personally, they're just like, when you see it, you realize this can be the movie that changes video game movies from something that was just horrible and terrible to something good. Because they're like, this looks good. It not only looks exactly like the universe, but it feels like it, but it looks good. Like, you don't even have to be like World of Warcraft to be like, oh shit, that looks like Lord of the Rings. So I'm excited about that. I remember watching one of their panels, and Chris Metzen, the guy who's like running World of Warcraft now, basically, he talked about going on set one day, and he talked about holy shit, I'm in Goldshire right now, and I'm in this place and I'm in that place, and he remember looking at a board, a bulletin board, and it said Wanted Hogger. And anyone that plays World of Warcraft knows Hogger is one of the first few levels, one of the guys you have to go face, that he's got like this little gold dragon around him, and it's like, oh, what is this? This guy's way more difficult. I probably need a buddy to come help me with it. So he's like, just seeing that, he's like, that's when he broke down. That's when it all became real. That this game that they created and that they made and molded is a live action film, and it's not cheap, cheaply made. This is huge budget. This is, big, and that's what I'm excited about, because I played that game for, a while with my buddy, and every time a expansion comes out, I'll play the expansion for a month, play the story through, and then I don't play anymore. I subscribe for 1 month, and that's it. Yeah, I'm excited about that. So we'll probably next week we will have a lot to talk about.
Oh yeah.
Yes, so prep your voice. Next week will be. This is kind of the, what do you call it? The lull before the storm, or the calm before the storm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why this week's gonna be a little bit shorter, but yeah, man, I'm excited for that. Well, let's get into reviews. We'll talk about Secret Wars. Now, the only one I read was Secret Wars #4. I have a whole bunch of comics sitting on my desk right next to me that I'm gonna be reading tomorrow and throughout the week. But what did you think of Secret Wars #4?
That
Oh, man.
I didn't see that
I
coming.
thought it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, just that line that Richards, like, Doom, the fact, and we're getting into full-blown spoilers, heads up, the fact that in all of these different Secret War worlds, all these little areas, there's no Richards.
Yeah.
That is what scares Doom the most. That's what scares him the most, is Reed Richards. And when he sees him, and he sees two of them,
Yeah.
maybe there's some redemption for this ultimate Reed Richards. It's gonna, oh man, I can't. This is what excites me, and we've talked in the past about Marvel snuffing out Fantastic Four and X-Men. If I didn't hear any of that stuff, if I didn't hear any of that, and I didn't know any of that existed, I would say they're putting them kind of in the main part of the biggest story they've had in years. And I like that. I like that Doctor Doom's huge. I like that the Fantastic Four, like, Reed Richards is going to be, that's what it seems like they're setting it up for, is like, he's going to be the guy that can take him down, if there is anybody. Because we saw what happened to Doctor Strange. And, spoiler alert, he takes him out in one, it just showed, and I liked what they did with the Phoenix Force. It showed that, well, in a way I do and I don't. They've been setting the Phoenix Force up for a while now. They've been building that story up for a while now, with Cyclops and what this force can do, and then Doom's just like, you're dead.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange, you're dead. Like, how do you take on an enemy like this? So, sorry I'm rambling, but yeah, you go on.
No.
What did you think of it?
I mean, my favorite part from this issue was Thanos' whole, well, a man who sets himself up as God should not be afraid to declare himself God, or something of that nature.
Yeah.
And the next frame is just like half of Doom's face and 3 simple words: I am God. Like, it's like, okay, that's the ultimate gauntlet being thrown down. It's just like, I'm not scared of this. I am this. Trust me.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Oh yeah. And I've never seen Thanos and Doom in the same room. Like, I've never seen them interact. I'm sure they have, because I've never, there's so many comics out there I've never read. But this is the first time I've ever seen them kind of interacting. So, man, like, it's really set the stage. This has been one of my favorite events since probably Civil War, where, like, every issue I'm just like, it's hitting every note. So it's going to be cool to see, what he does over at DC when he goes over there. But man, he's just Hickman's just knocking it out of the park right now.
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying the side, all the side issues. I'm not caught up. There's still a lot I need to read, so it's gonna be kind of cool sitting down and reading a few back to back. But yeah, man. I mean, what do we have a list of what's coming out today?
Not in front of me.
Right, yeah, no, I'll pull it up right now. Comics that are out today, for Marvel at least. By the way, I know that the new Batman comes out today, and Justice League comes out today, so I'm excited about those. DC's sort of getting back a little by little. I saw that, what is it? No, 1872 already came out, right?
What?
Oh, no, 1872 is one of their comics that's coming out today. Let's see here. 1872, Age of Apocalypse, Amazing Spider-Man, Renew Your Vows, #2.
Okay.
Which actually I think that's the one where it's that one or Spider-Verse. Amazing Spider-Man, Renew Your Vows. The guys that Kind of Funny, the artist of that book, drew in Peter Parker wearing it says Kind of Funny, and it has a little smirk smiley face, as like Spider-Man's wearing their merch, their merchandise. I thought that was so cool. Like
Nice,
these
yeah.
these two podcaster guys, they've made it to like, and Greg Miller, um, he posts on Instagram. He's like, you made it when Spider-Man is wearing your merchandise, and thousands of people are gonna read it, and that's cool. Like, and a lot of people just skip by and not even realize it. But he's like, that's cool. Like, we have fans that are like, what a weird world we live in. Um, but yeah, so anyway, the Civil War #1, like, there's a lot of good books coming out. Well, some of this doesn't even make sense because it says Darth Vader #1, and that doesn't. We've already read Darth Vader, so maybe I'm
Probably
getting some of these mixed up. But yeah, Spider Island #1,
Okay.
Gwen Stacy. No, hold on, Spider Gwen #2, Spider Verse #3.
Okay.
Oh, Lando comes out today.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's gonna be cool. Runaways, #2.
Okay.
Secret Wars 299 #3. There's a lot coming out today.
Yeah.
Holy crap, man! My wallet's gonna hate me. Yeah, dude, this is the whole Secret Wars thing is just fun to me, and like a crazy person, I've been collecting them all, and my wallet is really hurt for it. But I want that long box where I'm like, here is Secret Wars. This is the big event, and I'm sure no one else will care. It would just be for me, but I'll be like, I have every issue of it, and
There you go.
oh, like a crazy person, literally like a crazy person. Yeah, and I talked to my local dealer. That's basically what I'm calling him, and I'm just like, I'm at that point now where I'm like, I need to either shit or get off the pot with it, because I'm like, oh, it's really hurting me. But he's like, we'll hold some, so don't have to worry about buying it all at once. So, but yeah, I'm enjoying it. If I wasn't, I would have stopped, 2 or 3 weeks ago. But so far, I'm enjoying everything that I'm reading. But yeah, man. So, well, we got one more thing to talk about. What did you think of the new Dragon Ball Super?
I loved it. I did.
Yeah. It was more Dragon Ball than Dragon Ball Z, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting way to bring it back. But I guess they needed that episode to kind of set up, where we're at in the universe, what the characters are doing. It totally reminded me of one of those, like, I think the first episode of Dragon Ball Z, correct me if I'm wrong, was, it introduced the Saiyans, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, like, this wasn't like that. It didn't introduce, like, these major players. There was a scene at the very end where, it wasn't King Kai, it was...
Supreme Kai.
Yeah, Supreme Kai was like, we got to do something about these planets that are being destroyed. But basically, this, to me, I thought it was cool. I wasn't expecting it, I guess. It was very fun, very lighthearted. The kids are fighting snakes, and they're just a bunch of wacky stuff. Goku is working on a farm because he told his wife, I gotta work for 6 months, to pay the bills. And it kind of ends with Goku getting, Satan, Mr. Satan, basically gets a lot of money for saving the world, and he hands it over to Goku. He's like, as long as you tell no one about this, here's the money. And of course, Goku's like, I don't want this, no. But Goten's like, Dad, Mom would appreciate if you had that money, and it probably make it so you don't have to work and train. And so he takes it, and it sets up Goku now going to train, which I'm more excited about.
And I loved that scene where he was like, so can I go train with King Kai now? And
Right.
she's like, yeah, like still staring at the money, like so upset. It was almost like reflex. She was just like, yeah, and he's like, okay, bye.
Yeah, exactly.
Transmission.
And my favorite was when Master Roshi pops in.
Oh my god.
And he's like, oh man, is it true that you want it? This means we can buy so many interesting DVDs. The fact that he said DVDs when we all know this was created like this year, it's like, what? but yeah, that's just kind of I thought it was funny, the interesting DVDs, because we know how much of a pervert he is, but yeah, man, it was fun. It was a fun episode. The intro really brought me back.
Yeah.
that really made me feel like, however old I was when I first saw it, like a kid. I say kid, but I wasn't really a kid. I was a teenager, but it definitely brought me back, and I can't wait until they get to more of the more of the, like, here's the big bad guy of the season, and I can kind of tell they're not doing that. I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. I can kind of tell they're probably gonna stick with the fun, but man, I wanted to go back to where you had 10 episodes of them trying to figure out what they're gonna do to take on this thing that's going to destroy them.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, here's the thing. They have this is all prelude to the last movie, to Battle of Gods, because it's going to run through that, and then through Resurrection F, and then onward.
I didn't know that. I thought this was after that.
No, before.
Okay. So the cat dude, or what, the god, hasn't met. They've not met yet.
Right.
Okay. So I guess it's explaining the lead up to that.
Exactly.
Go through that, and then the one with Frieza, which I haven't seen. I think it comes out in August, right?
Yeah, 4th through 12th.
4th. Okay, yeah. So definitely gonna see that in the theater. It's out when my birthday is. But yeah, man, I'm excited it's back. Now it's gonna be weekly, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So. Oh man, I'm excited. Yeah, Dragon Ball Super. So I can't believe we're living in a world where we're getting new Star Wars, new Dragon Ball. It's exciting.
New Jurassic Park.
New Jurassic Park. We got Flash and Arrow on television. It's a good day to be alive. So.
Age of the Geek.
Age of the Geek, for real. So, yeah, man, that's the show. This is, of course, We Geek Podcast. I'm Adam, and I'm here with Logan, and you can, go to our Facebook page, We Geek Podcast. Twitter is at We Geek Podcast, and our email is wegeekpodcast@gmail.com, and shoot us an email. And like I said, man, the next week we'll have all the Comic-Con news, and we'll just have so much to talk about. The movies, news, video game, it's all going to be there next week. So yeah, man, that's it. Captain.